Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. You are on Revive FM 94.0. This is Hafiz Abdullah Muhammad from the Quran Study Group here in London. You are on the Ramadan Reminder Show. Inshallah, during this blessed month of Ramadan, which is the month of the Quran, I will be presenting a series of presentations on aspects related to the Quran. So we will be looking at some of the contents of the Quran in relation to certain themes, like the names of the Quran in the Quran, the names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran, the prophets mentioned in the Quran, the women mentioned in the Quran, the colors in the Quran, the animals in the Quran, and so on and so forth, themes like these in the Quran. We will also look at passages of the Quran like Surah Al-Fatiha, the opening chapter of the Quran, Ayatul Kursi, the greatest verse of the Quran, Surah Yasin, the heart of the Quran, and some other selected portions of the Quran, trying to learn some of the divine guidance contained in the Quran. Why we are focusing on the Quran during this month? Because this month is the month of the Quran. Ramadan is Shahrul Quran, the month of the Quran. In chapter 2, verse 183 of Surah Al-Baqarah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commands the believers, Ya ayyuhal ladhina amanu kutiba alaykum as-siyamu kama kutiba ala alladhina min qablikum la'allakum tattaqun. O those who believe, fasting is prescribed for you, just like it was prescribed for those before you, so that you may attain God consciousness. So this is the only part of the Quran where the command for fasting has come. 2 verses later, chapter 2, verse 185, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, شهر رمضان الذي أنزل فيه القرآن هدى للناس وبينات من الهدى والفرقان فمن شهد منكم الشهر فليصم. Ramadan is a month in which the Quran was sent down as a guide for humanity and containing clear proofs of guidance and as the criterion to judge between right and wrong. So whoever is present in this month, they must fast. So we are told at the beginning of that verse, Ramadan is the month in which the Quran was sent down. Therefore we are asked to fast in this month. So we are asked to fast in Ramadan because the Quran was sent down in this month. So part of our reason for fasting is in commemoration of the divine mercy shown in the revelation of the final testament to humanity in the form of the Quran. The Quran and Ramadan are interconnected. Ramadan, the fasting, and the Quran are interconnected. We have a hadith from Abdullah bin Abbas radiallahu anhuma, who relates that every year the angel Jibril alayhi salam used to rehearse the Quran with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam in Ramadan. So he will rehearse the Quran with the angel and the angel will rehearse with him. And Fatima radiallahu anha, she says that in the final Ramadan before the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam passed away, and he had a total of 9 Ramadan of fasting in his lifetime in Medina. So in the last Ramadan of his lifetime, he rehearsed the Quran twice with the angel Jibreel. So that way, the final arrangement of the surahs was fixed at that time. So this Ramadan is the month of the Quran, and we find earlier Muslims, they used to spend as many as 6 months ahead of Ramadan in preparing for this sacred month. In the 7th month of the Islamic calendar of Rajab, when that is to enter, the Prophet ﷺ is said to have made a supplication, Allahumma barik lana fi Rajab wa Sha'ban wa ballighna Ramadan. O Allah, bless us in the months of Rajab and Sha'ban and make us reach Ramadan. So 2 months before Ramadan, he was already thinking ahead and preparing for Ramadan. So the fasting in Sha'ban is in preparation for the fasting for the month of Ramadan. We find in Ramadan a lot of the major events in Islamic history also took place. The Battle of Badr, the first major battle between Muslims and their enemies, took place on the 17th of Ramadan, second year after the Hijrah. The conquest of Mecca, where finally Muslims were able to take charge and restore the Kaaba back to the worship of one God, took place on the 20th Ramadan, 8 Hijri. You have other major events in Islamic history also taking place in Ramadan. For example, Salahuddin al-Ayyubi, he finally restored peace and stability in the Holy Land after regaining control of Jerusalem from the Crusaders. The Quran and fasting are interconnected, as I mentioned. There is a hadith which says that the fasting will intercede for Allah and say, "Oh Allah, I have deprived this person of food and drink, therefore accept my intercession." And the Quran likewise will intercede to Allah and say, "Oh Allah, I have deprived this person of his sleep and his rest, therefore accept my intercession." And in this month of Ramadan, people are spending in fasting and reciting the Quran, especially when we have the opportunity to do the extra night prayers, Salatul Taraweeh, where it is customary to recite or listen to the entire Quran. So it's an opportunity to recite and listen to the whole Quran. We find earlier Muslims, they would devote themselves to the recitation of the Quran, especially in this month. So we find, for example, Imam Malik, who was the teacher of Hadith in the Prophet's Mosque in Medina, he used to engage in the teaching of Hadith throughout the year. But when Ramadan came, he used to close up his studies of Hadith and focus on the recitation of the Quran. Another great Imam, Shafi'i, he used to make 60 khatam or complete recitations of the Quran. And that works out to be one khatam during the day and one khatam, entire recitation of the Quran during the night time. So likewise, Muslims to exert their efforts in recitation of the Quran and pondering over the Quran in Ramadan, and especially particularly so during the last few nights of Ramadan in search of Laylatul Qadr, the occasion on which the Quran was first sent down. The Prophet ﷺ encouraged his family members and his companions to exert their efforts in search for the night of power. So this month of Ramadan is an opportunity for us to connect with the Quran, to not only to recite the Quran but also make efforts to understand the Quran, because now we have more time in our hands during this crisis. So let us take the opportunity to understand the Quran, to have different tools at our disposal and to take advantage of them. We have access to a lot of scholarship online. Let us have access to these and also make our own independent study of the Quran in addition to the recitation of the Quran. So inshallah ta'ala, in the coming days we will be looking at certain passages of the Quran and analyzing in some detail, and also we will be looking at some of the themes of the Quran as I discussed at the beginning of this presentation. So we look forward to your participation in the coming days, inshallah. Jazakumullah khairan wa akhir da'wana alhamdulillah rabbil alamin.
Revive FM
94.0 on the radio,
on your mobile
and online.